please?
Hi, this is Neil Finn. You're watching Tiscali. It's 10 years since we did the concert, almost to the day, and it hasn't formally been available on DVD, so I suppose the impetus was more initially to get the package visuals and music together as a comprehensive thing for the fans. Also, the first time it came out, which was on VHS, it was only minimally released, and it was only an hour and a half of music. We've now got the whole concert on there, barring a couple of small snips just for better viewing. And just the fans are keen to have it, and we wanted to make sure it looked good and sounded good, and there's lots of extras on there, so it's a fairly comprehensive look at that event. It always feels very similar, period to period, really, in terms of when you've got the blank page, and it's like you have to invent it all again every single time, and all of a sudden you have a day where it all seems to flow and it feels like the simplest thing in the world, and yet to get there is quite a lot of struggle. So it always was. It was like that in Crowded House. It's like that now. I suppose I was initially, with the new personnel and different people to write with on Try Whistling This and 1-0, I was looking for difference. I was seeking out different approaches and different kinds of songs, and wanting to stretch my legs, creatively restless and all that. It does sometimes come down to realising that you have a certain approach, and you shouldn't knock it. Whether it's a classic thing or it's traditional, it's less important. I think there's always ways of pushing your boundaries without having to seek, it's like continue looking for a new set of clothes, but not being afraid to just look like yourself. It was a very exciting period of time, and it didn't come cheap either. We had some struggles on that one, making the record. We sort of took quite a long time, and it was a combination of different circumstances and different personnel that led to that. My brother came in halfway through the recording, and he left halfway through the touring. So a lot of changes and a lot of dynamic in that period, but a very exciting time when things are taking off. And I remember sitting in a cafe in Amsterdam, as you do, and having our manager burst in when I think it was Fall at Your Feet was the first song that actually charted reasonably well, with a kind of surprised look on his face. Not that he wasn't half expecting it, but it was always nice. And we sort of knew that we were on a bit of a winner at that point. It was going to come home,
Yeah.
My older son now, Liam, was toured with me on the Try Whistling This tour, and he did about a 6-month tour playing guitar, and he learnt a lot on that tour, but he was already a really good musician and was writing good songs, and he's got his own stuff going now, and he's a brilliant writer, I think. And but now on this most recent record I'm actually recording at the moment, my other son Elroy, who's 17, who's actually going to a boarding school in Wales, quite an amazing place. He played guitar on half of the record, so I like to. It's nice to have a soulful connection to the people you're playing with, and there's nothing more soulful than family. I had a period of time a few years ago where I was absolutely thrilled by the prospect and potential of what you might be able to do on the internet in terms of direct connection with the audience. Being able to beam into people's rooms without middlemen, which was what was very appealing, and no one producing, editing, dictating terms, just a direct one-to-one connection. And so we did do some webcasts from my basement, and I don't know how many people were watching, possibly 100 or 200 or something, depending on. But it was really exciting because they were able to email me at the time, and it kind of happens all the time now. Yeah. But it didn't seem to be very common there. And I also had a website called Nil Fun, where I had these little games that you could play with. This Flash designer had made these things where I'd do little bits of music, just kind of little snippets that you could link with each other, and with the mouse just get these little interactive musical things going. To be honest, I haven't given it much thought for the last 2 years. I kind of went, not like I went off it, it just kind of seemed to lead to a point where I would have to employ a person full time to fully explore it, and I just started to think it was a little indulgent.
Yeah.
It's a little bit hard because I've got a son who's 23 years old, and I've tried thinking about it in terms of giving him advice, and more often than not, the advice I give him doesn't turn out to be right.
Right.
So to some extent, everyone has to find their own way, but it requires enormous amounts of fortitude and self-belief. And other than that, if you have got the talent, if you've genuinely got the talent, you find your own way through it and you don't give up. So an advice from a guy like me is probably, I don't think there's direct, you can advise them to send a letter to this person or, do this or do that. Everyone's story is different.